Santa, please, shoot us off.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, aliens from other galaxies, welcome to the December 18th, 2022 Sky 360 Developers Meeting. Richard.
Thank you, Santa. So guys, a quick organizational thing. This is the last meeting this year in 2022. It doesn't make sense to have it on 25th because all you Protestants or people in the US, you do it on the 25th. We the Catholics or wannabes, we do it on the 24th. Anyhow, we restart on January the 8th. So this is the second Sunday in January. Because on the 1st there's the New Year's Eve, and I assume all of you have a certain alcohol in your blood, and yeah, we can meet if you want, but I do not expect anything of importance coming out of this. Okay, so we postpone it to the 8th of January, all right? I will add events in Discord according to this time. I just want to inform you about it. Yeah, brings me to Christmas. We want to send out a Christmas newsletter from Sky 360 to all people who subscribe to the newsletter. And like we did in the last year, it's just a newsletter with an image and giving a report what we did in this year and what we are up to for the next year. And with the season greetings, of course. And for this particular purpose, I had the idea, because I saw it in Hangout, that some of you posted selfies with stuff, Sky 360 stuff you have around, caps or bottle or a mug or what have you. What if we collect all your selfies and put them in a small mosaic and put it into the newsletter? Is this, if you want? If some of you do not want to do that, that's okay. And we can even take a picture of the cap alone or what have you. What do you say?
Yeah, I think it's fine. No objection on my side.
Okay. Fabio, you already delivered a selfie. I've got that one, so.
Yeah. Richard, if you like the one I posted, that's fine, or I can reshoot one. I noticed I was looking off. I was half asleep when I shot that one, but I'd be happy to redo that one for you, or you can go with that one.
I'd say you look so gorgeous today. Could we have a picture in that suit?
I'll see what we can do.
That would be fine.
Yeah, I've got a gig this afternoon, but I'll either shoot one later tonight or like first thing in the morning.
Okay, perfect. So. I want to send out on Wednesday, so up to Wednesday I will collect some pictures and put them in a mosaic. And if you do not want to be recognized, please black out yourself if you need to.
Nah. No, I'm trying to get over being camera shy.
So that everyone on this world knows where Santa lives.
Yeah.
So we had a long discussion the last couple of weeks and months about a topic that everyone on the software side wanted to evade, and I wanted to raise it every now and then, and now it's the last day in the year, and that's why I raise it again, and I think we also have the solution for it. So it's about the coprocessor hardware. It's simple as that. We are started with a Jetson Nano board to be this coprocessor board of choice as the working horse, but we found out that first of all, this Nano is not capable of much. It's not available for second, and for third, it is not supported by NixOS, as Ido told me this week. So the Nano is out of the game, totally. So I'm very sorry, Eden. I have Nanos. A lot of people of you have Nanos, so we have to say the Nano is, sorry to say, out of the game. But Bojan could manage to sell his Nano on eBay or somewhere, and he even made a win out of it. So no, depends on how you bought your Nano, but you maybe can get some money out of it. So the board of choice for the coprocessor is at the moment the Jetson Xavier NX. And that's mostly due to availability, supported by NixOS, and for third, it's available. Did I say availability? What is the third one? Sorry. It's a coprocessor, and it's supported by NixOS. What was the third one? Anyhow, it costs $600 and is available on Seed Studio. So, with checkmark on these three things, I can come up with a third one, meaning that it makes sense, Fabio, if we take this board and implement all code from Mike and Yannick and Lionel and to port it on that board as the base board. You know, it's of course meant to be expandable. Someone can take an Orin HAX and invest $4,000 or $3,000 in it, but we need a base level board that is affordable and available. And for doing so, we will send you that board, Fabio. If you agree to bring, because you last said that you are now going for the CSRT tracker, and you already worked for the background sub tracker, and there's not much more, I think. I mean, there is much more, but not of that weight. Would it make sense from your point of view if we send you a Xavier NX complete set so that you can
Yeah,
work
sure,
with
of
that?
course. Yeah, and that way I can at least optimize all the algos for that board.
Yeah,
It make more sense. Yes.
yes. The idea is, of course, to provide this board also with the Pi, if needed, to all developers in the future. Depends when donations come in. So yes, there's still this one option, let's say. We managed the technical part in transferring that into, let's say, from crypto donation into market money, let's say euros or dollars, so that we can then use that for purchasing hardware for development. We will do this in a way that Sky360 as an organization buys this equipment, but let's directly send it to you. We start now with Fabio, and I hope we'll can proceed in January with the rest of you. The thing is that this equipment will stay in possession of Sky360 as an organization because it goes into our books because we purchased it and have the invoices on that, and you just keep it for development as long as you need it for development. Whenever you say you quit with Sky360 and don't want to talk with us anymore, then we just ask you to send it back. That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's the bullets on my list. Maybe Fabio, did you see into the CSRT yet? Any ideas yet?
No, I just start porting it to like I'm removing all the code that's on the OpenCV source and putting on a separate library, our library, so I can play with it and start seeing where I can make it a little bit faster and optimize it. So that's what I'm doing. I still didn't finish it yet because there are several. It's spread across several files. They have dependency on each other, so I'm just removing them from the Sky360 from the OpenCV library and putting on the Sky360 library, and then I'll start optimizing it.
Yeah, and resolving all dependencies locally. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Who else want to give us a status? Mike, what is your current status?
Yeah, so I've just been thinking if we're going to shift to those style boards, then there is a possibility that we can then look at the VPI stuff again. But that's very specific to obviously those Jetson IoT boards. So that was the one thing. And the other thing is, so I'm just busy working on the ROS version of the tracker, just to I just put a couple of issues on the repository to kind of standardize it more. So to essentially just give me 2 minutes. Let me just quickly get. So to basically standardize builds, like set up and build files, and do stuff like use sync message filters versus using a central control loop per node, and standardizing on message types versus my own defined message types. So I'm busy working on that stuff at the moment. I'm making good progress. The next thing, so I've done the build scripts. I've done I've removed the control loop. I've removed some of my specific message types. There's still some more work that needs doing there. And I've also implemented the message sync filter to essentially synchronize the processing of a message. Well, it's basically it's a you have a node that gets input from several other nodes, and it synchronizes so that when it processes the same timed message from all three other nodes, so it synchronizes that. So I've done that sort of stuff. So I still just have to remove some of my specific message types, and then I think I've covered most of the issues. Then the next thing for me is to determine how to store when we actually capture a track, is to how to persist that, how to get a copy of that. So that's kind of the next. So once I've removed as much as I can my specific message types, the next thing is to figure out a way is how to persist when we actually find some sort of item of interest that we track. And I'm going to go down the ROS bag route for that. Matt's asked to review my pull requests. So I've assigned my pull requests to him as a reviewer, but he's not been online for a while. So I might just chase him up again just to see. But yeah, so that's kind of roughly where I'm at, really. I'm kind of moving forward, trying to get into a position where we can where it's ready for alpha, really. That's like my main objective at the moment.
Yeah, perfect.
That's pretty much it, really.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Perfect. So we are still having all kind of workplaces everywhere on each platform, on each part, on each module. But of course, we have the goal to create this alpha version as soon as possible. The alpha version is not one single software. It will be spread over several images. I'm just saying this not to you guys, but to the audience, if someone sees this video. And to give the idea where we are, we want to finalize the alpha as soon as possible, but without the haste and the pressure from outside, so that we can focus on the things that are needed. And there are a lot of parts already finished. The thing is now that they all have to be, let's say, more or less put on the right platform, make it like what Fabio does, make it speed up, and then mold it into an image that it can be rolled out. So that's more or less the point where we are right now. From the hardware side, we will expect the enclosures to be finished coming this week. I hope so, knock on wood. So the first 4 are already sold. They will be sent out. 4 will be kept on stock, and the next batch depends when we'll order it on changes that have to be done, if there are changes that have to be done. Talking about changes that have to be done to the enclosure, we already have out the very first 15 enclosures, the version 3.7, and stationeers, if you see this, you know what I'm talking about. You will get 3 extra 3D printed parts that you need to turn your 3.7 into a 3.8, let's say. So let's say to upgrade yours. These 3 parts are already sent out to the stationeers outside the US. We had a member who wanted to print them for 8 US members, 3 parts, so 24 parts in total. And we're waiting for this guy to come back, and it's now several weeks that he did not come back to me, so I have no idea what the status of there is. And we were talking today and we decided that we have to go for someone else. So my question is, if someone here from you in the audience or in the audience is able of 3D printing, we can give you the shapes, we give you the material, and you would have to print that and then send it to 8 destinations within the US, and we will cover the costs for shipping. So we'll cover all your costs, and we will send even the material, the filaments, to you. So whoever hears and sees this, please go and come in touch with us. And yeah, we're looking for someone who can 3D print in the US and prepare 24 parts and send them to 8 addresses in the US. And we will compensate for all costs. Yes.
Yeah, Richard.
Go ahead.
What kind of material? What kind of material are these to be printed in? Are they going to be ASA?
There's one part that has to be ASA, and 2 other parts any material.
Okay. Well, now I've got a 1 kilo roll of ASA. Should be here on Monday. I do have what appears to be a pretty good printer, and what I'm thinking here is, how about sending me the or pointing me to the STL files for these parts? Let me print a set of them and see what happens here. Because if I can print them and get within the return work.
What is your max print build?
Gargantuan. It's a God. I'm trying to think. It's basically a Folsom QQS type printer. It's a Delta, and
Delta, okay. Build size.
Yeah, it'll do about. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember. Tell you what, rather than me trying to guess, let me pull it up and find out, because it's a pretty good sized part. It looks like it'll almost print the entire case. Although I wouldn't try that for my first go at it. Let me just see what I can find out here. Whoops, we need that. Come on. There we go.
So there's one part that's the door inlay. This shall be of
I should be able to do that.
And it's of the size, I think, 30 by 15 centimeters. So you need a build room of at least 30 centimeters. If we're gonna do this that way, we can also do it that way. That Oliver, who has the build size of 50 centimeters, he can do this 8 door inlays and then send them over to one address in the US.
Yeah.
And the one has to print the rest on a smaller printer.
Let's see
that would be an option.
Come on. For some reason. Oh. Yeah, slight technical delay here.
Yeah, so while you're looking for your printer and print size, max print size, Either would you at all be able to do this, Michael, to print
Yeah, I
that
think.
24
Yeah,
parts?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing about all 3D printing, especially in the not commercial version, is that it's a bit slow, but the deltas are reasonably quick. So
Okay, let's talk about
okay,
this. Let's talk about this
okay.
the next days. I give you the STLs,
Uh,
and you can do a test print.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What
let's do
it's
this.
saying is the printer is 290 millimeters by 350 millimeters by 800 millimeters deep.
Build size. Wow. No, that's the total
Oh
size
yeah,
of the printer.
that's one. Yeah. Well, no, actually, that does. Well, that may be the total size of it. That does appear to be pretty close to. Print. Okay. Correction. Printing size is 260 millimeters squared by 320 millimeter tall.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you could
it's pretty
mount
good
them.
volume
You can
on
print them
the
vertically.
thing.
Now then you have overhang.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let hey
Yeah.
Michael, let's talk the next days. Maybe we do it that way that
Yeah.
Oliver prints the door inlays in ASA and you print the rest, the 16 parts
Yeah.
in whatever material you have. Or we send you a material.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. Let's
Yeah. Well, like I
talk
said,
about this
I
the next
also do
days.
have ABS laying around, but yeah, no
Okay.
problem.
Okay.
I got a question. Is that the only ones you're going to have to print, or will there be more in the future?
No, no. Basically, it's the only reason we do it is to bring the 3.7 enclosures up to the 3.8. So
Oh, okay,
when the
got it.
3.7 were delivered, we all got one. We saw what was
Yeah,
wrong and what we had
yeah, I
to
got it.
change, and these are the three parts that compensate for that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Michael. We talk the next days. One last thing about 3D printing. Yes, there are parts that we're going to 3D print, Tommy. Especially the camera adapter. So we had
That's the
now,
question I was going to ask.
yeah, we had now, I think, 6 versions of the camera adapter. And now
Hmm.
we had the 7th one. No, this is the 6th one, sorry. This is the 6th one. That we're now going to test. So Oliver is printing this the next days, and see, make a note on that one too.
So that means we're going to have to mass produce them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They can be CNC cut. They can be molted. So
Yeah,
they can even
I'm
be
just trying
3D
to figure
printed.
out.
I mean,
I have a customer. That built a mass production room with these machines. There's like 8 of them in this room, and they're
3D
a whole
printers.
person.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
I could literally. The chambers are so large. I could literally step inside these things. It could print my whole body.
Jesus.
I've never seen one that big before. But
Okay.
that's the whole idea, is they're doing industrial type 3D printing,
Prototyping. Yeah.
and it's relatively new. I mean, it's not been around like 20 years, right? It's just relatively like 5 years, I think they've been around. So I thought about, if there was like a huge mass production that we were trying to do, I could go to them. Otherwise, the option is that we could just do it, amongst ourselves. I don't mind getting a 3D machine myself, and dedicating it to just building parts.
You know, Tommy, when we are still on small numbers like now,
Yeah,
we go for 3D printing it ourselves. So anyone has a
yeah,
3D, at everyone. We have 3D printers on each continent, so we can do small
sure.
batches up to 100. We can still do ourselves.
Yeah,
If we go into thousands, there's this stupid below the 1,000. That's the questionable
yeah,
amount of. But if you go beyond the 1,000, I would say it makes more sense to inject molded, for example, to have a model and a
yeah,
tool, and because
hmm,
it scents on the piece.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. So about the adapter, the camera adapter. We now have, okay, first of all, the camera adapter is a big ring so that the camera rests in the tower. And then there is the core part, which holds the camera underneath and holds the optic on top. The thing is, we have to find the right distance so that the projection of the optic is on directly on the surface of the chip. And so we started with some figures from the producers of the optic and of the camera, and we found out that those figures were wrong, and we had to rebuild those adapters, and we are now on version 6. And I think now what we did is we now have two rings that work in each other, so you can pull them back and forth, so to find the sweet spot, and then measure from the outside how thick it is, and then calculate back what is the real distance we need in the inside, and then make a final product. It's like doing it like this, but yeah, there we are. What I want to say is it takes more couple of days until we have that adapter done. All right, so that was the 3D printing part. I actually, when I went to talk with Ido about the NixOS and the image he put on the Pi and how far he came up today. Maybe Ido, if you see this, maybe you can post something within the next holidays season on Discord and give us a feedback on your status. And one last thing, the disk that I'm going to send to Yannick first. So Lionel, thank you very much. I received your disk. I put new material on it. Partially is new, mostly is new. And I will send it to Yannick so that you make a copy, Yannick. And Yannick, you will then send it over to Mike. And Mike, you can keep it for now. And yeah, use the newest material if you want to. So guys, this is all on my list. Yeah, anything up from your side you want to talk about? Chris Dixon, I see you came just in. Hey Chris. Hello, Chris, are you there? Okay, doesn't hear me. Yeah, so
Who's doing the brackets right now for the
Well, can I go?
lenses and the camera?
the brackets, you mean the adapters, the adapter brackets?
Yeah.
Oliver printed them. For now, Oliver printed all these. He printed them in ASA and with 100% infill, full plastic, and he prints them in I think in 8 hours. And then when we have the final design, so when we could eliminate all shrinkage and all this 3D print after behavior, then we have, let's say, a 3D printable model that is exact.
I need 3.
Yeah, we can send you, or you print yourself, or Michael prints for you.
Okay.
Do you have a printer, Tommy?
Not yet.
Oh yeah, okay.
I was waiting until we needed it, but
No, we can make it. Either Oliver's printing it for you, or I mean, it takes too long until you start 3D printing yourself. It's a learning curve, and it takes months until you're there.
Well, it doesn't necessarily take that long, but it is a learning curve. But again, if it's something I can do as a practical matter, I'd be happy to. Get them a prototype one.
Yeah, and I think the adapter doesn't have to be 100% Elfi now. I think you can print them in 4 hours. So.
Yeah. But again,
Yeah, it's
so I'm confused. I thought this was as simple as once somebody has mapped out the product, that it's a program. So you just pass along the program.
Yes.
And I upload it to my machine and let it print. What's the problem?
if the ingoing parameters are wrong, and you find out later on, then you have
Oh
to
no, I
redo
get
it.
that.
Okay.
What I'm saying though is that you guys have already built it. So
Yeah.
once you've figured that out and done the hard part, then all it's a matter of is uploading it to another machine and letting it print.
Absolutely.
I don't have to figure. Okay, got it.
Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking.
What we do is we export in STL files. It's meshes, so any 3D printing slicer can take it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I plan to do. I mean, that should be pretty easy.
Yeah. It could even be printed. I mean, it's the size of I think 12 centimeter in diameter, something like this. It can even be printed in these not FDM printers, but these with the acrylic, this with light, with the UV light stuff
Yeah.
or light
Oh
stuff.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. I've seen those. I think you said it right. It's a UV light.
No, it's normal light. They do it with smartphones even today. It's normal light.
I haven't seen it. I guess I haven't seen it.
Now, I've heard of the UV ones. They're basically a liquid, and they do their magic,
Yeah.
and it's UV that sets the resin.
Right.
Last I heard, those were still relatively
printer.
expensive, but they are highly precise.
Oh, resin
Yeah.
printer. Yeah.
Resin printer. That's it. That was.
Ah,
great.
yes.
And there's even material that's UV resistant when it's cured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is lens inside.
Yeah. And we have light inside.
Oh, now, Tommy, one other.
Yay!
Yeah, Tommy, one other thing, if you're doing your own 3D printing, be aware that particularly ABS and presumably ASA, they do generate some fairly nasty fumes. And as I understand it, and I haven't printed with ASA though, the other thing is it's real touchy about both the temperature of the print and the ambient temperature for it to set. So just a couple things to be aware of. That's one of the things. For the ASA, I've got to do some trial and error here just to make sure that I've got it down like I think it's supposed to be. But
so it has to be in a controlled
for example, just doing like a prototype
in a garage.
Yeah, ideally, like I said, the fume. Yeah, if you just take a piece of ABS and heat it up, okay, you get these fumes off it that are pretty nasty. My understanding is, they are bad for you. Not seriously so, but they're not good for your health. So something to be aware of if you're, But like I said, if you're printing ASA, you need to watch your ambient temperature, around the part as well. So, again, that's something I've got a plan for, but I don't have any ASA just yet. But that should change tomorrow. So,
how hot do those units get?
Kind of looking.
How hot do the units get? Isn't it just the head itself that gets hot?
Right, it's the print head where it actually, does the melt on the on whatever type of material you're doing. Right. And I've seen them say they've got settings above like 300 C. But again, the temperature you're going to set is dependent on the material you're printing. And it seems like most of them are down around 200 C, somewhere like that. So, I've been printing with PLA, which is very forgiving material, but it's got a lot of drawbacks for any kind of device. It's not UV resistant. It actually absorbs water, things like that. So it's it's good stuff up to a point, but as soon as you expose it to the elements, it's not going to hold up. So again, it's just it's all part of the live and learn bit when you're fooling with this stuff.
Yeah, that's why we have to use ASA for the adapter, because it's exposed to sunlight. It shouldn't deform.
It's crazy
and take temperatures.
These guys that I work with also have 3D printers that do metal. So what happens is the little it's like a plasma cutter, but it's reversed. You can literally put down a bead. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But you can sit there and build up a whole block. You can have a square block. This thing build up a square block by just sitting there going around in a circle and circle.
Is it a metal melting process, kind of a welding process, or is it still 3D printing with
no,
metal
it's welding.
flakes?
No,
like
it's
a welding.
It's
welding.
Literally it's a wire feed that's feeding it metal,
it's real metal,
and
melted on.
Yep. and it's heating it up, and you can see the arc that's creating the melt, and it just melts onto the material.
Yeah.
But it does it so precisely. It's bizarre that it would form like that. I'll have to show it to you, because I was standing there watching it going, wow, this is great, man.
I know we produce those parts in aluminum. They are printed the same way.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's they are expensive. So first of all, I don't think this is a solution for production for us, because it's very expensive to do this.
It's good for prototypes.
It's good for a budget when you do prototyping, right? But if we consider this to go into bigger numbers for the network, we made some parts for a car, for an electric car, and it was a kind of a wishbone of a size of 30 centimeters, and the weight is 800 grams and almost a kilogram, and this costed 3,500 euros. One piece out of that process, so it's doesn't make sense. I mean, CNC cutting, could be, but I don't know yet. We have to see. But CNC cutting, an automated CNC cutting, let's say a 4-axis machine can certainly do the job automatically, and then we come certainly down to, let's say, $50 per piece.
Yeah. Well, I do know a gentleman that has one that he has never put in service. Might be some opportunities there. I'll look into it.
Take it.
Again, it's just a thinking out loud thing here. Well, it's just one of those. He's one of those people. He loves having the right tool for everything, but that doesn't mean he has necessarily a lot to do with them. It's kind of a bit weird, but
sounds very familiar.
That's his thing, and I'm good with it. And, and I get access to them. The only problem is it's 1,000 kilometers from here, but oh well. So.
From last year when it was still Skyhub times, okay, we were about to produce the PT set rig, okay. So in summer we were thinking on next production steps. How can we produce the first prototype? And then these Skyhub situation went down. So we had to postpone the PTF making. But in summer, I bought me a CNC router for 4D router, and it is huge. It is I think in 8 packages, and some package I cannot even carry by myself, and it's lying in my shack since then, over a year. Haven't touched it. Not even opened the package. No time. But okay, next year. Every time I plan next year, I will do it.
Well, hey, next year is in only about 2 weeks, so.
Yeah. Now, the plan is that, that we go up the mountains as next year, probably. Now, most certainly. And then I will make a bigger shack, a much bigger shack, so I have place to put it all up. All this stuff needs so much place, yeah.
You're gonna be mountain dude.
I will be in the outback. Like Michael, like you. More or less same situation. Not inside the forest, but on the forest. Next to the forest.
I can walk from here to Canada just crossing, just only having to cross major highways. Stay in the woods all the way. And that's,
That's Bigfoot country.
I don't know.
Do you have bears, Michael? Do you have bears?
Oh yes. And yes, for the record, I have indeed seen an actual Sasquatch in my backyard, and I'm in no way kidding or exaggerating.
No,
where I'm sitting right now, it's about 60, 70 feet that away. Just on the other side of the back wall back there.
Yeah.
Just across a little stretch of grass, and he was heading this way and heading up to the northwest. I'll tell you something, you don't forget things like that, and they make you really nervous when they happen. So yeah.
Of course, you have a gun.
I'm aware of that hazard. Yeah, I'm aware of that hazard in addition to mountain lion, bears. Okay, I've seen about an 800-pounder back here one day, and he understood he was king of the forest. Okay.
So I understand you have Magnum pistol, at least.
Magnum pistol.
I carry my AR-15.
That's okay. Oh,
it may not have the may not have the stopping power of something like a 45 ACP or whatever, but it's at least intimidating enough that the varmints run. So.
That's funny.
Hey, life in the sticks,
Hey,
Yeah, you don't carry.
Wait a
You don't
second.
carry
You
less
said
than a 50 cal.
what did you say, Tommy?
No,
You don't carry less than a 50 cal out there where he lives.
yeah.
A caliber.
50 caliber?
Oh,
Okay.
no.
It's
Yeah.
half an inch.
no, 45 ACP is fine for most stuff. Certainly good enough for the two-legged varmints. Okay, which again, not a problem. Okay,
Right.
but I like the 223 simply because it's a good high-speed round. It messes up things if it hits them, and the whole rifle with a loaded clip and it's pretty light and quite accurate. So that's my first choice. Little more awkward to use than a pistol.
Yeah.
But again, I just find it a better solution for me personally. So
It's got more power than a pistol.
just
for sure.
oh yeah, and again, there's a whole bunch of things about the specifics of the way the round itself actually works when it makes contact with things and things like that have a tendency to screw up whatever it hits.
Yeah.
So good all around weapon. The only other potential problem is what I want to call the unintended range effect. If you miss and it doesn't contact anything else, it can put a round out there a very long way. But there's enough trees around, I'm unlikely to have to worry about that too much. But again, I do keep those kind of things in mind.
What's
So we
funny?
need
What's
to-
funny here?
We don't need to worry you protecting our north border.
Against Sasquatch.
Whatever is come.
So wait
Now,
a
what
second.
pistol range?
Let me come back to the Sasquatch thing. You just dropped it like that.
Well,
Why, first of all, did you know that this is a Sasquatch? How did you see it?
It's big.
It is.
Pretty cute.
Yeah. This thing was about 8 foot, and
8 foot,
what was
okay.
up? It was right after I moved in. I moved in here in November of I'm gonna say 1988, 1989. In November, and rode out the winter with various kind of interesting situations. And in the spring, I was putting up one of these little metal tool sheds, for my lawn and garden tools, because I'm on acreage here. And I was building the thing, and all at once I hear all these dogs up behind, back up to my house, behind my house, and they sounded like they were maybe less than 100 yards in that direction, which that way is northeast, And I was out where I was putting up the shed was down here. It's off to the southwest corner of the house. And that barn that you saw the picture of back here, it's actually about 100 feet that way. And so I had most of my tools over there. And so I was walking back and forth. And I started hearing this barking up here. Okay. And it sounded like 6 or 8, actual dogs, not wolves. They sounded like they were domesticated. Well, at that time, it was still legal to hunt bear here with dogs. And in what I consider an unsporting kind of thing, what the hunters would do, they would use the dogs to tree the bear, then they come along and shoot the bear down. Okay, well that, I don't know, that just strikes me as unsportsmanlike, but that's reality. And so that's more or less what I thought was going on. And it just sounded really close, which one of the things about woods, they dampen most noises quite well. But I mean, this was just sounded like it was just out of sight, due to, foliage. Well, I'm back over here on this corner, and again, this wall you can see back up this way when you're outside there. And basically, I was down here, and I was putting, side panels up and some other things. And all at once, one of these dogs made this yelping noise, like it got hit or bit or something. All the dogs went dead quiet, okay? And so I'm kind of looking around like, okay, what's going on? And like I said, coming back, from this direction, it came up and headed pretty much up to the northwest. Now, there was a tree out there that had a branch on it that I went out later and measured, and that branch is about 10 foot off the ground, okay? I did not follow him or anything of the sort at the time. It was like, what? I mean, because that point, seriously, at that point in my life, okay, if I ever thought about Bigfoot or Sasquatch or anything at all, okay, to me it was just a hunter's story of oh, I caught a fish this big, it just kept getting, I never thought twice about it, okay. Well, apparently the local Sasquatch population wanted me to know, yeah, we're here and hanging around. And so, yeah, it just like, and it turns out, apparently there's a fair amount of that kind of activity around here.
So what was the distance you said to the 60 feet?
Well, like I said, from where I'm sitting, I would say, because this room is 32 feet wide, so from here it's, call it 25. And on the other side of that wall, there's an extension of the house back there. At the time was 4 feet. And then there was a little strip right to where it cut to the edge of the brush. And there was a game trail about 10 feet or so back behind that line. And that's what he was walking across,
So 15, 20 meters.
Like I said, from where I'm sitting right now, yeah, I mean, not far at all. And I did get a really good look at it.
15, 20 meters, you see a lot of detail. How did it look like?
Oh, yeah. Well, he looks a lot, he looked a lot like the kind of picture you see. Large, hairy. He was fairly dark, okay, either very dark brown or almost a black. And like I said, when I saw him, he was kind of, heading this, I saw him more or less a couple of steps. I wouldn't say a couple of steps, where he pretty much, this kind of an angle. And then he, turned and followed that path up. And like I said, he walked by this one tree that is, in fact, on one of the upper corners of my property. And like I said, I was mostly just standing there going, what, it was a very WTF moment, okay? And, it was just so strange. It was just, because again, at that point, I really didn't, I didn't per se believe in him. I certainly didn't disbelieve in him, but,
so it was
to have one roll.
It was like a 5-pedal entity, so 2 legs, 2 arms, 1 head, right?
Yeah.
And it was going right up
he actually,
on 2 legs?
Yeah. And the thing is, he actually looked, if you imagine, just more or less like a giant human that was, covered with hair. Okay, that's more or less what he looked like, because he didn't have like pronouncedly long arms like you see in the gorilla family or baboons, things like that.
What do you guys do?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So it's very, very different kind of thing to see. And I mean, I'm just standing there going, huh? Because it was just that outlandish, for lack of a better term.
Did he or she see you?
I don't know. For some reason, I have the impression that when he was coming into view, around the corner here, he was actually looking in this general direction, okay? But like I said, the way I remember him, he was more or less just looking, and then he turned and went up. So I don't know if he saw me, or the thing is, previously, I had been walking back and forth from here over to that barn because I need a tool or whatever, and I go over there, and like I said, when the dog started barking, I got a whole lot more leery of making that trip, but they seemed stationary. In other words, whatever they were barking at, it was just in one spot up there, but I couldn't see the spot simply because of the tree line, And
what time of the year was
so
it?
it's one of those, would have been like, April, late March, April, somewhere in there. Basically the spring thaw had happened.
Would you see footprints on the ground?
Like I said, I did not actually go up there for probably over a week. And at that point, no, I did not see any.
But you said
You
it's
know,
only
but by
15,
then,
but 15,
one of the
20 meters distance.
yeah, I'd say 20, 25 meters.
Yeah, okay, good.
You know,
but
trying to do the mental conversion here.
and,
But like I said, I was in no hurry to follow him. It was just, you
yeah,
know.
okay, you didn't follow it. I wouldn't follow
again,
either.
so,
Yeah, I
but
would look
no,
for
when I did,
footprints. I would look for footprints afterwards.
well, again, it was a while. It was, like I said, it was actually a couple of weeks later. Okay, that I actually went up there. You know, and by then, basically, one of the things that goes on around here, it rains Doug fir needles. You know, Doug fir and hemlock needles, and so, and I don't remember specifically, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it would have rained in between times. So there really wasn't anything to be seen in ground tracks.
Yeah.
And you know, also, like I said, even if there had been clear tracks, I probably would not have been inclined to follow them very far, because one of those things I've since learned, there's a lot of weird things that go on around here. Okay. And, you know, again, that was not my intention. I want a nice, quiet place in the middle of nowhere, and that's not quite what I got. You know?
One only lives as quiet as the neighbor wants.
Yeah.
So, when it walked past you, was it in a hurry, or was it just walking in a normal pace as you would walk when you go shopping?
He just looked normal, but yeah, he just you know, he was moving at a good clip, but he was not running and didn't appear to be in any hurry.
Okay.
And for example, I could actually kind of feel when his feet hit the ground. Okay.
Really?
But I only remember like 3 or 4 of those.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he was beefy. Yeah. It was one of those just you know, you feel a little, you know, thump when something heavy hits the ground. And again, but it wasn't anything rushed about it, you know. And
would you, just from your impression, would you call it how do you say it in English? A carnivore, or what's the other one?
Herbivore.
Pardon me?
Yeah, herbivore.
Herbivore. He's an herbivore, you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I do think they're like humans. They're omnivores. They can eat either. Yeah. And I've since heard from other people that are far more knowledgeable than me that they are believed to be. But again, there's no definitive evidence of it, you know, one way or the other. And supposedly, you know, they have, for example, stalked people occasionally. It's actually fairly rare.
Who stalked people?
But
stalking
Bigfoot
running off behind, or
they're
not attacking.
Again, there are
not attacking people.
Yeah, no, no, but well, like I said, there's cases where, you know, they have followed folks. Okay, and the other thing that's in the literature, apparently, if you're getting too close to something they value, they will do what's been termed in by the people that study these things have been termed a fake charge. So they will come running at you apparently, and if they just want to drive you off from something. And so again, that's kind of a common. I don't want to say common occurrence. Usually, you just see them and they're leaving. You know, they're not in any real rush to meet you apparently, and you know, that kind of holds also for, like, you know, bear. You know, bear, except mama gardener cubs, okay, they're in no rush to meet you. You know, so if you give them room to leave, they will. And so I don't really worry too much about bear. You know, mountain lion, different story. Those I worry about a lot. You know, because they are in the area. But like I said, getting back to Sasquatch, like I said, they don't seem in a hurry to meet you, and like I said, tales of them actually, you know, hurting anybody are almost non-existent. Although there's apparently Indian legends of them taking people, things like that. So, what exactly is the case with them for sure? Nobody actually knows. And there are some, you know, respected scientific types looking into various aspects of it and things like that. And I used to do some video work for some of them. And so it's one of those, it's an interesting subject in its own right. I don't really know quite how to I don't want to say, I don't have a set, here's what I think they are or aren't, because again, they have some very strange characteristics that have been reported. Like you'll see their footprints going through snow and suddenly stop, they seem capable of just kind of showing up out of nowhere. And again, this is, reputable people.
What if
saying, hey, this is what
Sasquatch is just a this is on record now, but anyway. What if a Sasquatch
hey, don't worry. I've gotten over my shyness of talking about it. Okay, I didn't say a word about it for over a decade.
Oh, really?
Okay?
Did you? Okay.
So I got no. Yeah.
What if it's
so anyway?
not,
what were
if
you
it's
going to say?
nothing? I mean, when you say their footprint ends in nowhere, in nothing, so suddenly they stop. How can that be? How can something
disappear.
just stop, disappear?
Yeah. Well,
And
that is an
always
excellent question.
No one ever
If-
found a Sasquatch.
If you can come up.
I mean, really, take the
Well,
body.
actually,
Really, did they?
well, a couple of interesting points. Okay. Like I said, one, the whole, they just can seem to appear and disappear. Like you see footprints. Okay. And in point of fact, I actually documented some, I'll say 5 years ago. Again, this direction from me where I'm sitting is to the southeast. And I had a set of tracks going across my lower field down there. Okay. The stride on them, the footprint size itself was somewhere around 14 inches or so. Now, I didn't find them when they were fresh. I just found them, after, so they had some snow in them and whatnot. But the stride was about 6 foot. And from the place where they started, okay, there's like a line of trees, this field, and another line of trees. Well, from where the snow continued under the trees on both sides, all right? Well, on the end closest to the house here, and again, this is down a ways, not right at the house, but it was about 10 to 12 feet to the first footprint. There was nothing in between, just snow had been laid down. At the other end, where it would have hit the tree line there, it was over 15 feet to the tree line. Okay, and there's still some snow under it, and there's no tracks in there. Okay, and again, they just, they started, they went across the field diagonally. Where it came from, what it was, and I actually went out just as a kind of practice thing, even though they were not fresh tracks, and went through and measured every track, distance between them,
And the indent, how heavy?
file and all that, and I got.
How heavy is this thing?
Unfortunately, in that kind of snow, there's really no way to know, because again, they weren't fresh tracks. So basically there was a compressed snow layer under them, and it was about I don't know, call it half an inch, a centimeter or two. But again, it had snow over the top of it from that point. And again, what I did was I just went out there and shot all of them, measured everything. And because, again, I've worked with some of these Sasquatch researchers, I just, gave it all to them. And, as just, what is it? I don't know. But it's, because like I said, I didn't see these tracks being formed. It was only because I was out after, it finished snowing for a few days. I was just kind of walking around the property, making sure things were going okay. So, what was it? Don't know, but it doesn't fit any normal biped. It was not a...
It did not carry anything with it.
No.
And it was barely naked. I mean, only the fur.
Yeah, just fur.
Just fur.
No, they have underwear. Don't.
Yeah, there you go. They have all our humanoid modesty concerns, just like no. Like I said, this thing was, now, and the one I saw back up, to the north side of the house here, I don't recall seeing any sign of genitalia or anything like that.
No.
Of course, I wasn't looking down. It was like one of those.
Yeah.
Again, it's really hard to get across just how stunning that kind of thing is. You just kind of stand there. At least in my case, there's that freeze reaction, and so yeah, it's just very odd. That's the best descriptor I have of it. So,
Excuse me, I just joined. I was watching the soccer game.
Yes,
What are
of
we talking
course.
about?
Yeah, hi Lionel. So
Hi.
Sandler is telling us some stories of his life. So this story is about a Sasquatch that passed his house a couple of meters in distance to him,
Okay.
mhm.
and it's supposed not to be a joke.
No, it's.
Okay, I
I
can
give
get
you my
behind that.
word. That is an absolutely true and correct account of what I experienced. So,
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
he was Sasquatch
and-
just was checking new neighbors. You know, that's all about.
yeah, I think so. That's what I think.
How far is your next neighbor?
But well, my next neighbor, the nearest house, okay, is direct line through the woods. I'll say 200 meters.
Okay.
You know, not far.
Okay.
Yeah, but there is pretty thick woods in
Yeah,
between
yeah.
there, and a lot of undergrowth in there. And then the thing is, but if you go south of me, which is roughly that way from here, next set of houses is probably about the same, 175, 200 meters, something like that. And you know, there's the road circles around over here and heads on out, and there are various houses along it. You know, out here it's a 2-acre minimum zoning, so you know, most of the properties around here are that size, but it's also all forest lands. And so, for example, my neighbor to the west of me here actually went out and bought literally all the land up around me and over here on my west side. You know, so the property his house is on is 2 acres, but you know, he's probably got 150, 200 acres out there, you know, of forest land.
Forest
And
he's harvesting.
you know, fortunately, I'm on good terms with him.
Your neighbors,
So-
do your neighbors have the same experiences? Did you share your experience?
I haven't really tried to talk to him about it, but all the people you do, you know, if you kind of talk about odd things going on, everybody seems to have a story, whether they're willing to talk about it or not. So, I presume.
So if
You know, because,
humans
I
are
live-
not able to talk with each other because of shame, then all the aliens and Sasquatch can sit around us with impunity, and we would just freeze when we see them and not talk about it.
Yeah,
It's interesting, isn't it?
yeah.
If I would
Well,
be a
in talking
Sasquatch
with
and I
folks-
know how they work, I would say, I don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
they do not even tell their neighbors.
Show up anywhere.
Not here, you don't. Not here, you
Yeah.
don't. As soon as you say something, everybody's like, look, he's crazy. He's crazy. There's no way.
Yeah,
No, you can't do that around here.
Yeah, you lunatic.
Yeah, I get this.
And,
If anybody
so-
wants to see,
But the thing-
if anybody wants to see a Bigfoot, I just put into the Discord under DMZ the most likely place you go on vacation to this place, and I promise you, if you don't see a Bigfoot, you're not looking. I put it in,
for
I
those
put it in
for
the
those
Discord.
for those who've seen the Bigfoot, do you so if you seen them up close, do you think it's do you call them, do you define them as animal or as what? You say it's a
Me
beast, an
personally,
animal, a human? What word do you use?
I would categorize them as almost human. There is a theory, okay, that there's something called of a species. I want to say it's Australius giganticus or something like that, which would match them pretty good. Okay. And again, that's more, you know, that's over in the Sasquatch literature and things like that. Interestingly, too, even though it's not so much in the official record, but when, you know, the early settlers were coming out this way and their surveyors and whatnot, they named a lot of places things like Ape Cave, even though there's no apes native to North America. Oh, yeah. You know, there's actually a place like that here in Washington. There's one down south of here in Northern Oregon, you know, here in the U.S. And but you see a lot of places that have these names that otherwise don't make a lot of sense, except, you know,
Okay.
maybe
And,
there's something they weren't telling you.
How tall was it? Or was he?
When I saw him, he was about 8 foot. So, you know, call him a little over
Maybe
2.5
giant.
meters.
And the distance
Okay.
was 25 meters. Can you imagine? And 25 meters
About
distance?
25, yeah.
You see every detail.
Like I said, he was big.
Jesus.
Well, you do if you can get over your sense of awe, you know, because like I said, I was just kind of,
Yeah.
like I said, I just kind of froze right where I was, you know, just.
I do understand that. I would freeze the same way.
Really,
and that's from their point of
Just-
view. They don't have to care about us because anytime they see us, they freeze.
yeah.
It's how we humans tend to react
So,
or shoot.
yeah, you either freeze or your fight or flight response kicks in.
Yeah.
And I've actually now had both of those things happen. You know, long time ago on land far away, I almost stepped on a rattlesnake. Okay, as far as I can tell, I flew moving away from the thing. All right. Again, you know, that was just no big deal. It's just, that rope that was laying across the road, it wasn't a rope. Okay. And thing is, I don't even remember turning around.
If you would we all consider a Sasquatch as a nomad or an entity that lives in a cave?
Good question.
If it's the latter one, if it's living in a cave, and you see it in your neighborhood, on your grounds, wouldn't you just expect that the cave must be in a proximity?
Well, maybe. Okay. Again, I can't give any kind of definitive answer. But there's a group out on the Washington coast, and I'm trying to remember their name off the top of my head. There's something like Northwest Bigfoot organization or something like that. But they actually found a series in a place called the Olympic National Forest, which is west of Seattle, here in Washington State. And they found a series of like 8 or 9 nests, as they called them, along this ridge line. And there were signs that these had been inhabited, on an ongoing basis for a while. And I happened to ask the one researcher who was out there, had mapped them out and that kind of thing. So, was there any sign of recent habitation? And he said no. But there was all kind of different speculation that went on around that kind of thing. And so that's why I have to hesitate to say, they live in caves or they're tree dwelling or something like that. There doesn't, from what I've seen, there does not appear to be a consistent, they live this way, because it's easy to say, caves, that's an obvious one, keep them out of sight. But something, there's a Dr. Meldrum, he's with the University of Idaho, and he studies primate hands and feet, okay? And somebody persuaded him to take a look at Bigfoot tracks, okay? And so he got very interested in it, because, presumably they're a primate and that kind of thing. And he has a lot of interesting remarks about them in terms of things that tell you whether you're seeing a real hominoid track or not. But the other thing that was really interesting about what he had to say was that, dang it, I'm drifting here. He pointed out that, for example, a lot of your apex predators, unless you catch them just very soon after they died, and he's talking about your large, black and brown bears, large elk, all kind of things, but he's primarily concerned with apex predators. He said, if you don't catch them right away, just because of Mother Nature, they get rapidly, eaten, recycled back as food into the food chain. And so he pointed out, even though like just in the state of Washington, there's supposedly something like around 10,000, black bear. All right. I can tell you, both on my experience and what he had to say, it's very rare that you come across any remains at all of them. And especially something like the skull, you would think would hang around a while. But he pointed this out, and he said, it's really a case of between the sheer amount of area that they have to be in and the fact that when they die, everything's going to get ate. So it'd be actually quite unusual, to find one. And so that was kind of, his thinking on that very subject, because why don't you find one?
What about skeleton?
Anyway, so he was same issue. Again, if you think about, like I said, why don't you see bear skeleton all up in the woods around here and going north?
Do you own a wild cam?
You don't.
Do you own a wild cam?
A trail cam?
Trail cam?
No, I do not. But I had one for a while. It actually was my son-in-law's, and again, I put it back up here, a little bit past where past where the Sasquatch was, and also put it back up here about call it 75 meters or so, not quite 200 feet. And no, I did not catch them. I did catch, like this one, I did catch mama bear and her 2 cubs, okay, which that's the most dangerous thing in the woods, okay? Yeah. You don't want to get in, you do not want to get in the middle of that, okay? Mama bear, okay, they are going to be very defensive of their cubs.
Have a Merry Christmas for anyone who jumps out now earlier than expected. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Likewise, Merry Christmas. Anyway,
we keep on chatting.
Getting back up to this one. Yeah. I was going to say, I actually did catch a mountain lion on that one. Okay, and like I said, we're talking not that far away, and so, there's all kind of dangerous wildlife around. Of course, I've got pictures of deer. I actually somewhere, if I can find it, I've it's a picture of a baby bear walking just right across the front yard here. I mean, so it's not like I'm unfamiliar with things roaming around in the woods. But the other thing about trail cams, a lot of people tried that. Okay, and they get nothing. So why that is, I don't know.
How can you see a Sasquatch with such a random event that so many thousands, millions of wild cams that are out there do not catch it? That's weird. Again,
if you can come up with an answer for that, you are ahead of a lot of people.
And even that such a predator.
I have an answer for that.
Yeah, go ahead, Tommy. Tell me.
Because the people that live in his area, as you can see what he's doing. Okay, as he pointed out to you, for 10 years he didn't say anything to anybody. Right? That's the people that live there know that there are people trying to do harm to Bigfoot. I've seen this. I've seen interviews about this. And it's for real. The people that are local there keep show it to their friends. They'll show it to their next door neighbor, but that's as far as it goes because they don't want to get it out.
All right.
And even so much so that hunters have actually come forward and said, "Yeah, I had him dead rights in my scope, but I purposely thought it was a human, and I didn't want to, the morality behind it. I felt bad about it, so I didn't pull the trigger." There's absolutely that's happening. So I think that's why we don't see it more and more.
Wow.
But what I just forwarded to you on the DMZ about Olympic Park, there's another, going back to the History Channel. Is they've got a doctor, a PhD. I can't recall what it was. It's the same. What's it called? It's the same discipline as the chick, Jane Foster, or whatever her name is, that went out with the gorillas.
Jane Goodall.
Jane Goodall.
Jane Goodall, thank you. Yeah. She's the same person, okay? And they've got her on the show, and they have an ex, he's like a Marine captain or general or something like that. He's retired, but that just gives you the idea of what his military background is. So he's there for on the show and then they have the third guy on the show that actually would be like your Travis Taylor, who has been on all these shows. He's the host. He basically explains everything to you. He's kind of the tie-in to the story. But anyways, these two guys, this guy and this girl, go out, and that's the place that they've been focused on. That place and a place up in Vancouver. That is an absolute hot spot for Bigfoot. There's so much so that a lot of people are now starting to vacation there, and they're starting, those people that are vacationing are now starting to go out on Facebook and all these other places to say, hey, I heard this, or I saw a flimp of this. But yeah, the reason why you don't see definitive answers is because the people that are capturing that don't want to let it get it out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, I can certainly understand that. It's such an outlandish thing when it happens too,
That too.
And it just took me a very long time to be willing to talk about it.
As a matter of fact, if you go
and
into
it wasn't actually
the local bars there, if you go into the local bars around there, they'll talk about it. But outside of that, you won't hear people talking about it.
Some of them will. But the other thing, getting back over the subject of UFOs, okay, I've actually worked with a number of people that have seen some at fairly close range. Primarily they were out of Alaska, but they, again, they don't run around talking about it, but basically working with them, the ones, somewhere along the line, subject came up, and they, and they would tell me a little about it. So, again, it's like I said, I speaking just for myself, I just didn't want people thinking I was some kind of nut. I mean, I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I just don't want them to know it. So. It just, so I can understand, reluctance of people to talk about having these kind of sightings, and it's okay. You've seen one, if you're inclined to speak. If you're not, cool. I understand that as well too. So, and that'd be my take for anybody that has had, one of these kind of things happen to them. So.
Makes me wonder why no Sasquatch in Texas.
Actually, there may be.
Huh? Really?
Yeah. I was working on on a volunteer on a project. It was called the Falcon Project, and oddly enough, one of the people that was kind of heading it up, he was a younger guy, but he was from Michigan, and I don't associate Michigan with being Sasquatch territory either. But apparently, throughout the Midwest, there are the occasional sightings. And
I thought there were too. Up in Wisconsin and Michigan, that whole territory.
Yeah. Also, Ohio apparently is a pretty good hotspot for them. Again, just why, I don't know. But the other thing that always stands out in my mind, okay, if Ohio has a number of interesting things in it. But apparently, there's also more U.S. astronauts from Ohio than anywhere else, any other state. A relationship?
Really?
A relationship? I don't know, but yeah, apparently, yeah. So,
well, there's a lot of sightings here in East Texas, which is really strange. I mean, we have the woods to support it, but you just wouldn't think they'd come this far south because it's such a big creature. You'd think the heat would bother it.
And also, you have guys wild hogs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, lots of them.
Man, talk about AR-15s. I was going to tell y'all earlier, the rangers around here are upset with the hunters because the hunters want to use AR-15s, the hogs now, instead of using the traditional 30-30 or 30-06. And and so it's a little different. So you got these guys running around with military guns shooting hogs, and it just doesn't look right.
But this is a good
thing, though. A lot of places.
This is a good meat.
I was gonna say a lot of. Yeah,
wild hogs has good meat.
A lot of places the minimum caliber is. Yeah, well, a lot of places the minimum caliber is .243, and which leaves out the ARs, the standard barrel ones. Again, I don't know about Texas specifically. Even though I am from Texas, I'm a Texas native.
Wow. Okay.
I never hunted there, and even now I don't hunt. I know that if I got to go out hunting for meat, all I got to do is walk out my front door. I mean, I don't have very far to go. And like I said, I am surrounded by woods. They are contiguous all the way to the northern border, except for the occasional highway and mountain in the way, places like Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier, But just a few miles north of my house is I can catch Pacific Crest Trail and head either down to Mexico or up to Canada, no problem. So.
Nice place, definitely.
Yeah.
A little bit crowded.
Oh, yeah, I picked well.
Sasquatch. I mean, how often is Sasquatch? How many experiences do we have with Sasquatch? Tommy, any idea? Is this of the same? I have no idea about it. Is it of the same phenomenal size like the UFO topic?
I don't know if there's any way to discern that, because there's so many different places that are being reported to. For example, we have the I forgot how the letters is Bigfoot. What is
BFRO, it? One of them, Bigfoot Research Organization.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Okay.
We have
Matt Moneymaker and his crowd. Yeah.
It's like MUFON, all right, but for Bigfoot. So they got the same kind of organization like that, and a lot of people report to them, but no different than MUFON, a lot of people don't report to them. So it's not really an accurate number to go by. And I don't know that there's actually, because a lot of people that, no, I wouldn't say a lot, people that do report would report it by 911, I think, first.
Okay.
Depending on circumstances.
I mean, at least if you're in the city.
It will be interesting to talk to the policemen on the countryside. Are you familiar with the local policeman, Michael?
Not in particular, no. They tend to be more down in town along the highway, that kind of thing. If I need them, I can call them. But around here, people are more
in the grocery or so. Okay.
Well, yeah, you do. It's just I just don't have any particular occasion to talk with them.
I can't what is difficult for me is that such a phenomenon as you described today, the Sasquatch, and so many people talk about it that I think there's a phenomenon going on. A phenomenon. There is something. There is an animal, an entity that is living next to us, and we don't know about it. And that's what surprises me so much, because I mean, we in Europe, we killed everything that is above our head. Let's say everything that is in the pyramid. Okay, so we are on top in Europe. There's no wolf. I mean, there's some wolf now in special places, but normally you can walk through the woods without any fear. You don't need a gun in Europe. There's no bears. So, is there Sasquatch in Europe? I don't know.
What you talking about?
Really? Where?
Bear.
No, where? Where is Sasquatch?
No, Sasquatch, but bear and wolves are present in a Balkan Peninsula. What you talking about?
Yeah, in Slovenia there are some bears and wolves.
Yeah,
and
Bosnia, especially Bosnia. Oh yeah.
In the Scandinavians there you have a lot, but let's say Central Europe.
Well, actually, my understanding is places like the Alps, there are reports of things, SETI and Yeti, that kind of thing. And of course, the Himalayas there in Asia.
In the Austrian Alps.
Yeah, you're moving there so you can see it.
Yeah, you might find one of your own right there next door.
Yeah, next neighbor.
now I'm frightened, okay? On which sea level are you living? Michael, what sea level is your house?
About the elevation of my front yard's around 750 foot. Off the top of my head, I don't know what that would be in meters.
By 3 times more, like a 2,000 meters.
No. It's real shallow.
No.
He's very close to the water.
Divided by 3.
Yeah.
Divided by 3, 200 something.
Okay, so 250 meters?
Above sea level.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 250 meters from me.
Okay. We are going to 850.
No, I'm on the...
I'm at 600.
You're in 600.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'm about
Meters.
5 miles. I'm 5 miles. I'm 5 hours from the water, so I'm
Okay.
only at 600.
You are that high,
Yeah,
like a
pretty
600
high.
meters.
No
Wow.
feet.
Feet.
No feet.
Feet. Okay,
Wow,
600
so this
feet
is 200
meters.
meters.
So you're both on the same
Yeah.
level, Michael and you. Okay,
Right.
I got it.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm 850 foot.
Yeah, like I said, I'm about
meters.
200.
This is
I'm
2,400
750
feet.
foot, or about 250 meters. But
You
I
better
am
put some
I am
cameras
on
with motion
the side of the.
Fabio, what did you say?
You better put some cameras with motion sensors on your backyard.
I will have everything. So we said, first of all, of course, I have two stations that go up the roof. I have 4 cameras that scan the perimeter permanently. I will have wild cameras out there. And I will, of course, have a central board where everything is coming together and be recorded if needed. I will certainly have that because...
Now, what'll be cool is when he gets the Sky Hub out, when he gets the Sky 360 out there, and he gets a Bigfoot that comes over and says,
looks into the camera.
Oh,
I can't wait to catch that one.
I have a plan. I have a plan. Okay.
Need to hang some meat.
There's,
actually,
I collect
I'm
material.
not in any rush to see one.
Hold on, I collect material on my station since over 2 years, almost 3 years now, and I have so many videos. And sometimes I watch these videos, and I found the chimney sweep. The guy in black, you know the chimney sweepers. He walks past the station, and then while walking, what is that? Turns around, looks like this. What is it? It goes away, turns around, and you can see it in the fish shop because you see all the perimeter. Turns around, comes back, looks again, does like this. Has no idea what it is because he sees it from the back side. He doesn't see the front sticker.
Yeah.
So you need to put a picture of a
Perfect.
Sasquatch on the side that he'd be walking by.
Yes,
So he
has
"Hey."
black
So what
clothes
is
and
that?
black
Looking at
hair.
me?
What's up,
Is she
neighbor?
looking at me?
What's up, neighbor?
We've got a Sasquatch in the
you
city.
you should talk to History Channel and create a research ranch program.
Yeah, yeah, and 24/7 live stream.
Oh, in fact, it will be a Michael's ranch because there's already a phenomenon there.
Yeah. I still have to prove that there is Sasquatch in Austria. I
You
cannot
may get the chance.
So, my point of view about Sasquatch, Michael, sorry to say, from today up to today is, people see a lot of things, But that you tell me today, face to face, your story, really shocks me somehow. So, I give credit to the other people who I didn't give credit up to now, I have to say.
No. Well, as I mentioned, up until that time, okay, if I thought about it or heard about it at all, it was just the fish that got away, right? It started out like this and got like this and like this, and next thing you know, Moby Dick escaped off the end of your fishing pole. Okay, I'm used to that. All right, and I like I said, up until I saw him, that was my take on Sasquatch. Just a bear, whatever. Okay, I've seen some pretty fat raccoons, for instance. Things like that. So if I thought about it at all, that's all I thought. Okay, and haven't seen one. Okay, that kind of thing stays with you. Okay.
Have you had the feeling that it comes back any time? Never thought of that?
Well,
You just stay indoors, locked indoors.
well,
Since 10 years, standing indoors, shooting out.
That's where I'm orbiting around to. Okay, give me just a second here. A couple of weeks ago, okay, after that first piece on Inside Skywalker Ranch that Tommy provided.
Yeah.
One of the reasons for my remarks, okay, a couple of things that go on around here. All right, there is occasionally I will get this sense of some kind of menace. Okay. And I don't consider myself psychic or anything like that, but it is a really nasty sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, and the thing is, now a couple of things. One for sure, it was after I've been here for several years, and there was indeed a mountain lion / cougar in the neighborhood. Because one of the things that goes on, and most people don't know about, is that cougars, the big hunting cats, will, particularly during hunting season, will follow deer, little deer herds, all right? And when the deer get shot by hunters, right, they gut them right there because they have to, preserve the meat in them. And so they basically eat a lot of gut piles. They also will chase down the slower deer, things like that. But so they tend to follow deer herd, okay? Or, anything else they like. But anyway, so that's a real common thing that goes on. Well, for a while, for about 2 weeks, we had one hanging around the neighborhood, okay? And the local dogs were, if they got near them, they'd just go nuts, all right? Now, twice I've had it where it looked like that's what was going on. But the second one I'm not so sure about, okay? And there have been other episodes just beside these two. But it was reported, amongst the neighbors and whatnot, that, okay, there's a mountain lion in the area, pay attention, okay? For example, my neighbor, the guy next door over here, he did lose his dog one year, okay? And our best guess is mountain lion got him, But like I said, I've had these other episodes, and the thing I was talking about a couple of weeks ago was actually for several months, okay? I was literally afraid to go outside, all right? And as I mentioned then, it didn't even dawn on me that it was only when I was at home, okay? Now, that particular sense of menace didn't really seem to have a particular direction. It was just, don't go outside, okay? And if I did go outside, it was like really, paranoid. And the thing I found that actually helped, okay, and this is why I mentioned it, was to go to noise canceling headset. All right. Now it's not because I think what was going on was an infrasound problem or issue. All right. Now noise canceling, the regular civilian noise canceling headsets, they're not particularly for that frequency range. But basically at the bottom end of the scale, they're more or less a high pass kind of filtering. So they will try to kill off anything below. Probably about, 125 or 130 hertz, okay? And that's why I think they were helpful, and that's why I mentioned it, okay? Not because of like I said, I think the frequency band is definitely infrasound, and no, you can't hear it, but that doesn't mean you don't react to it, okay? Or that it doesn't affect you, okay? And that was the nature of my suggestion, because it seemed to help, okay? And again, worst case is you don't hear everything that you might want to, but again, I haven't found that to be much of a problem. So, and the thing is, the guy there, Eric, that mentioned that, he was staying in the building, that was one of those keys to me that said, maybe he's having the same situation I have, and or I had at that time. And hence the nature of my, suggestion, pass it on to him. Again, no idea if it'll do anything for him or help or anything or make any difference whatsoever. But to me, it was the difference between being able to go outside and kind of sitting here. Oh, I got to run over to the barn. Is it broad daylight out? Is my weapon handy? I mean, so yeah, I mean, it was a very serious effect. And, I don't have any particular explanation for what it actually was, but, as a farther back in history, I've become quite interested in what I call earth noises, several of which I've run into right here, and
can you describe what you mean?
And by extension,
can you describe what you mean?
Oh, okay. Well, basically, real quick, I've kind of categorized what I consider to be 4 kinds of earth noises. Okay, the one most people probably heard of is called the Taos hum. Okay, and it gets described as something that sounded like a heavy truck idling, that kind of thing. Again, my driveway runs directly south from the house here. One fine day, and for a couple hours, it sounded like there was a truck sitting down there at the bottom of the driveway, idling. Okay, and like I said, it's 350 foot, about 100 meters. They were sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. Now, there's logging equipment that comes around
pitch.
here.
It's a lower pitch. It's a boo.
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's like I said. It sounds very much just like a heavy truck idling. Okay. And again, this one day, this was going on. Yeah, I'd heard it at other times, but this particular day, it was a bit louder than quote normal. But like I said, never heard it continuously. But this time it was just sitting there, and I'm sitting inside, and I can hear this thing. And finally, it's like, okay, what are these guys doing down there? Because heavy rigs do pull up occasionally at the bottom of the driveway there while they're checking the directions or figuring out what they're doing or whatnot. But they're gone in 10 or 15 minutes, no big deal. But like I said, this went on for a couple hours. Okay, and I could still hear it when I left to go down there. All right, so I go outside, I head down the driveway, nothing. About halfway down the driveway, the sound went away. Okay, there's nothing down there, and if it had been a heavy truck taking off, I'd have heard it. I mean,
when you came back,
these things are not quiet.
When you come back,
nope.
Did you hear it? No, it was just
came back to the house. I don't remember. No, didn't hear it after I came back. Okay, the second one I categorize or have experience, and this was down in Central California primarily. I used to do gold prospecting just for the hell of it. Unfortunately, I never made a whole lot of money at it or anything, but it was a lot of fun, And I call it wolves in the tree line. Okay, and what it sounds, wolves.
Wolves in the tree line.
It sounds like a bunch of them howling. Yeah, that's the way I describe it. Okay, that's what it sounds like. Mm-hmm. All right, is again, where I was at is in Maricopa County, California, part of the gold rush country, and they're basically where we were working over a tailing pile, me, my uncle, a couple of friends, and it was basically grassland over to where there's a tree line, and I hear all these that sound like howling wolves in there. Okay, it sounds like a whole bunch of them. Okay, and I've heard that other places at other times too, but that was probably the most prominent one. Okay, and I don't know what that one is, but like I said, so I consider that a category of them. The third one, okay, I call the cocktail party. All right, because that's exactly what it sounds like.
Like people,
okay,
like people.
Talking? It sounds like a bunch of people. You can't tell what they're saying, but it sounds like they're having a party and a little music in the background and tinkling like glass. No, I never tried to. It didn't really occur to me at the time. Okay, and I've heard that in a couple of places, most notably right here at home, and it sounded like it was coming from the west. Okay, and west for me is in that direction. All right, and over there happens to be an old logging road that when you pull off the quote main road, it's only a lane and a half, but when you pull off the main road, there's a pretty big dirt area there, and the local kids used to occasionally come out and have a little party there, and that's fine. But this was going on for like several hours, okay? And in point of fact, at the time, it was loud enough, I just basically turned up my stereo for a while, because I was doing whatever I was doing. And it's starting to get late, and I went, these guys are still at it. I turned mine down, I said, come on, guys, tone it down a little. Well, what I did, because I could hear it plenty loud, walked down the end of the driveway, caught the street, and walked around, okay, over here. Nobody there. Nothing. All right? There weren't cars running out,
and
nothing.
The sound?
Sound went away. Sound went away.
Now.
Yeah. In other words, by the time I got to the bottom of the driveway, of course, I couldn't hear it, which I, more or less expected because of the way the woods are formed around here and whatnot. And, but no, there was nobody rushing out of that, little driveway or anything like that. Nobody over there. No sign anybody had been over there. Okay. And again, I've heard that in some other places in the past, but not as pronounced. All right. The other one is what just basically noise and vibration. Okay. And for example, here, night before last, I'm sitting here working on a couple of things. The documentation project, I've been trying to make some progress on that. But I had this vibration, running all through the building. Okay. I mean, I could feel it sitting here in my chair.
Shaking? Okay? The house shaking?
It feels, a vibration though, not shaking's a little too bold a term.
Not earthquake,
like, so you just
shaking,
imagine,
more vibration.
Just a brrrr.
Okay. Like someone
vibration.
A sledgehammer somewhere.
Well, no, more like just somebody got one of those, those little back vibrator things that went on your hand and.
Yeah, okay.
more like that, only a little more intense. Okay, because like I said, the whole house was vibrating from it. I've had that kind of thing go on several times. Okay, which is one of the reasons I'm real interested in geophone and acoustic properties of the project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, a ways back, it was before I found SkyHub. The Washington State Geologic Department, and I forget their correct name, but they were looking for people to host seismographs. Okay, I said, "Hey, sign me up," you know, because I am in a volcanically active area or semi-active. Okay, I'm sitting between three major quote dormant volcanoes. Mount St. Helens, you probably heard about. That's only about, and I'm going to have to use statute miles, guys. Sorry about that. But that's about 40 miles back to my northwest. To my northeast, at about the same distance, okay, is Mount Adams. Mount Adams happens to be a UFO hotspot. And one of the two trackers I'm trying to get, if Bob funds them, there's a place there, and it's called ESETI. It's run by a guy named James someone. I met him once. I actually went out and looked at his emergency generator for him. Turned out to have a fuel pump problem, but
The guy with the beard?
I don't think he has one now. He might, okay. But anyway, he near Mount Adams. His web thing is eseti.org, I think. And I've been trying to reach out to him to see about a tracker location there, because again, Mount Adams has got quite the reputation, but it is an inactive volcano. Okay, and then south of me, about to the summit, direct line, I'll say 40 miles, maybe a bit more, is Mount Hood, which occasionally rumbles like it wants to come back to life. Okay. And there are various seismic stations around.
So you are,
but like I said, I came across this thing for Washington.
You're in the center of a triangle of 3 volcanoes.
Oh yeah. Now you want one that gets slightly better than that?
You need a geophone, definitely.
Well, no. Here's if you go back to Kenneth Arnold's 1947 report, okay, of where the things he saw were heading, okay, they were more or less coming straight towards my house. Okay, now this house was not built in 1947. Okay, and I didn't live here or anything of the sort, but they're more or less heading this way. Maybe slightly more over towards Mount Adams, but I found that an interesting thing. Okay, and in point of fact, Sasquatch sightings around here are apparently so common that it used to be a $10,000 fine if you shot one. Okay,
that's what I heard.
I understand they reduced it to 1,000. Yeah, I understand they reduced it to 1,000, but
isn't taking pictures enough? Do we have to shoot everything?
Yeah, well, that's
if you could have taken pictures at that very moment that you had with the Sasquatch, if you could have taken pictures, that would be incredible. I mean, 25 meters distance.
Yeah, like I said, that was
Jesus.
Uncomfortably close,
I can imagine.
But but the only thing I had handy that was anything even vaguely going to be useful was a sledgehammer. If I got to get close enough to use that, I don't put my odds very good. But it's just I just
maybe it's a communication way of Sasquatch between each other. The next one is 2,000 miles away and they're doing drumming on the grounds, kind of.
Yeah. Well, again, there was a program called Finding Bigfoot. Okay, it was put on by a gentleman named Matt Moneymaker, and he was running over the country. I didn't care for the show because a lot of it just seemed like they were faking it, but I met him a grand total of once. However, one of the other guys on the show, his name's Cliff Barackman. Okay, he lives over here in Sandy, Oregon, which is, call it, again, I have to go statute miles, about 50 miles, something like that. Yeah, and the thing is, okay, he has a photographic memory, and so he knows every track that's ever been, made public, essentially, of Sasquatch, okay, and determined to be believed a real track or somebody faking it, you know. And again, you know, I met him a few times. He's a, you know, he's an interesting guy, and he was on that Finding Bigfoot show. But you know, again, it's one of those. Apparently, they're quote common around here, you know. But like I said, I've seen enough, you know. And that was just the one.
Okay, good. You need several kind of sensors with your station soon.
Yeah,
Cliff is a
yeah, and I'm already plotting on that.
Hey, guys,
What's that?
It's 3 minutes to the clock, and actually the 2 hours are recorded. I'd like to stop recording, but not without having Santa saying goodbye and wishing us seasonal greetings. Please.
Well, awesome seasonal greetings to you, whether you like Christmas, Rosh Hashanah, Hanukkah, whatever else. I don't know all of them. I just know that many peoples of all kind of interesting backgrounds do celebrate this time of the year, coming up on the winter solstice, and I wish everyone the best, no matter what your beliefs or what you think. You know, I think that's awesome. And a joyous new year. And on that, you know, from Santa's Southern Workshop, hey.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Santa. Merry Christmas.